Greetings, psychonauts. Do you have a crippling weed addiction? Then this video is for you. So, I think in today's culture, more people are addicted to cannabis than ever. I don't know statistically, but just with the sort of liberal approach to smoking weed in today's world, I think it's become more normalised to use cannabis on the daily. Obviously, people have been doing this for a very, very long time, but in today's culture, I think there's a bit of a toxic ego that's infiltrated the stoner culture. It's the classic, it's a plant, man, I do what I want, like, it's just part of my life, like, it helps me unwind, shit. And this is not me judging people who actually helps. There's many, many health benefits to cannabis. I'm not denouncing that at all. That's just the matter of fact. It helps people. It should be legalized and regulated, I believe, in today's world, 100%, and people should have the choice to use it if they want. And also, let's just put it right out there, the actual medical benefits of this plant are innumerable. So I'm all for cannabis, in a sense. So I think the problem, and I think many of you also see this, especially in the psychotic sort of like new agey hippie scene and that, is that people smoke cannabis habitually and self-rationalize it as being something that is actually helping them, when it may, yeah, obviously it will be helping them in some sense, because it's not an evil totally destructive drug like the class A's and beyond. It's not like you're fucking sniffing flacker every day. But I think it must be said that if you really take a step back and see how cannabis affects your life, if you're using it daily, and when I say it all the time, I'm saying you're one of them stoners. I'm mainly talking to these type of stoners. You literally wake up, you immediately have a joint, you smoke all throughout the day, up till bed, and then repeat this basically on the daily for years and years on end. I think these people really need to just slow down, regroup, and just take a second to realise how much energy they're actually pouring into this habitual use, and that they need to realise there's so many areas of your life that require this energy that you're sort of wasting on smoking weed too much. Insane areas of your life that need, there's an insane amount of areas in your life that require your attention and consciousness and energy in order to achieve a great life. Move up. I talk about it a lot, like moving up the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, going up, up, up. And I think the problem with weed, smoking it all the time, is it can make you too content with just a boring life, because it gives you that sense of meaning, that THC surge where you're like, oh, I can just literally sit and lounge and watch Netflix all day, or just sit and like listen to music all day, which, yeah, I completely get it. Smoking weed and getting a bit blazed, man, just putting some tunes on and watching films is a lot of fun. Not for me anymore. Weed makes me go fucking skeets hard around, mate. But when I was a stoner, this was like the peak of my life every day. And then you just get attached to it. You get seriously attached to this state. You're like, this is what life's all about. And honestly, if you want to carve out a great life for yourself, I just don't think smoking weed excessively every single day is healthy for your mind, body or soul. And I think many excessive cannabis users will kick themselves in years and years on, when they have to like seriously get the shit together, and they actually have the eureka moment of like, okay, there's probably more to life than just getting blitzed every second of the day. I know I really kicked myself, in a sense. I don't have any regrets. It's all part of the journey, and it was an essential period of my life where I was a daily stoner, or let's just say what I was a cannabis addict. I don't like to fluff it up saying, oh yeah, it was a stoner bit, like it was just part of my life. I was addicted to cannabis. It just ruled my life 100%. Wasted so much money on it, wasted so much of my energy, and just getting stoned all the time probably affected my lungs in a big way. I've always been a very healthy person, but that was like the unhealthiest thing I was doing. I have a very addictive personality, as we know from the ketamine addiction journey that I've talked about, but in a sense, I made it way worse for myself by using these psychoactive substances, especially weeds, mainly weed, as my brain was developing as like a late teenager, like from age 16 to 20 something. I was smoking weed pretty much all the time, and it just got worse every year. I was having to smoke more. This is the problem, you have to smoke more weed to reach that level. Smoking weed, like when I woke up, and that was the only time when I'd actually feel it, and then I'd keep smoking throughout the day. It was just literally like having a magic cigarette that was, oh, it makes me feel a bit funkier than having a fag. And that it was just the moment, I think, when I realised, oh shit, this is actually not feasible for me to do. Your tolerance just keeps rising. You have to smoke more and more. You're wasting loads of money. You can spend, like, look at these stoners who buy like an 8 for something a day. That is a lot of money. A lot of money that you can just put towards things that expand your mind in quite a healthy way. Going travelling, going on a course, buying a fucking like van and travelling around Europe or something. Honestly, just anything. Buying loads of books. Honestly, seriously, there's a serious amount of other areas of life that require your attention, and I think the excessive use of cannabis drowns them out. And there's the toxic element of this sort of mindset in today's stoner culture is that people self-rationalize, like, no, it helps me in all these areas, and yes, I do believe it helps you in some areas. These basic what I'm calling is, yeah, cannabis addicts. And again, this is no judgment. This is me just trying to sort of illuminate people's minds and try and help them realise there's a much more to life than just smoking weed every day. But I also empathise in a deep sense where it's like some people are in a great place of suffering and this is all they have. But so yeah, I understand how you can end up in this situation. I was as well. I had no meaning in my life. I had a meaningless job, and smoking cannabis at the end of the day when I got home from work gave me that sense of meaning. It sort of made the grind and mundanity of my existence a bit more meaningful. Gave me that boost of pleasure that I sorely needed throughout the 8 hours of the day slaving away like fucking cutting trees on RuneScape, but even less fun. So I really understand that, but I think there comes a point, and I think you should do it now. Don't procrastinate, because you'll kick yourself. You'll be like, oh fuck, I've wasted so much time. You can do it right now if you really get your shit together and start planning. Yeah, it's going to be different for everybody. Journal ways you can improve your life, little bits like that. Pick up a guitar, start drawing, do other things that you're like, oh, this is giving me a bit more of a pleasure boost than the cannabis, and it's actually could lead me somewhere. The problem is if you're smoking weed all the time, you're not going to be able to carve out a meaningful life just through smoking weed. It's only going to get you're only going to get diminishing returns as you keep doing it. I think if you really want to have a healthy relationship with cannabis, use it very, very sparingly. Some people who are watching now probably have a really great relationship with the plant, and to them, well, my advice doesn't mean anything, because you've already cracked the enigma code of how to have a healthy relationship with this plant, and it's going to be different for everyone. My healthy relationship with it is that I don't smoke it every day, because not only do I not want to do that because it wastes so much of my energy, it also makes me feel like shit. I'm super sensitive to it. It feels like a psychedelic. I don't want to be tripping for fucking like 2 hours, skitzing out about the existential matters of mankind, and not in like a cosmic sense that I'd get in psychedelics, more in like an existential dread sense. It's not very nice. It's almost like every time I smoke cannabis, the universe is telling me, look, right, Vivek, you've already let this thing go, and we don't want you to start abusing it every day, because we know what your mind is like. So it's almost like my mind makes it an uncomfortable experience for me, because it's trying to tell me that I just should not keep doing it, and every time I do it just goes really bad. I've talked about this many times before, so I've let it go in the habitual sense. When I do use it, and this is when I enjoy it, is say I use it when I feel is really appropriate and it caps off a beautiful day. So I don't know, I'll go hiking with my mates, we're doing like loads of productive stuff, exercising, talking about life, connecting as friends, laughing, smiling, eating good food, drinking, all healthily and that, and then at the end of the night maybe go to a campsite or whatever after hiking and doing all these bits all day, really good stuff, and then maybe we just have a joint to unwind. And that is the perfect way to unwind in that sense, because you're not using it to make every single second of your life like super entertaining. Like, I think the problem with another problem with like stoners is that it's like, oh, I can amplify life by getting stoned all the time. Like, oh, I'll go to the cinema and I'll get stoned, and then have a joint after the cinema, and then I have some food, and then I have a joint after that, and it's just constantly capping off every single other moment with weed. And I was doing this as well, and it really diminishes your sober appreciation of life. And to be honest, if you really want a good life, you're gonna have to have a sober appreciation of life as well. I know this channel is mainly about psychedelics, and we talk about substances, but what it's really about is talking about consciousness and the mind, and growth and love and consciousness. I said consciousness twice because that's how important it is, and God and this whole thing we're in right now. But the substances, the psychedelics, are just my it's my niche that I explore, because I find psychedelics and mind alteration, because I don't just talk about psychedelics, do I talk about aliens and breath work and just sober mystical experiences. I find these the most interesting way to access spiritual states. That's just me. It's never been about drugs. I don't cover like standard drugs on the channel. And when I talk about cannabis, I'm usually talking about how it affects your mind, rather than just like, yeah, smoke like some weed, it's fucking really powerful. Anyone who talks about that, that's just them, isn't it? I'm just not interested in that sort of delivery. There's a place for everything in life. Like I say, I'm stressed it many times. I don't judge anyone for what they do at all. I just think that some people do waste their energy and their time on smoking weed and turn it into a hobby. And I think there's just so many better hobbies you can get. And then there's other people like, well, Terence McKenna smoked weed all his life and he was okay, so this means I can do it. And I think this is another dangerous line of thought, where it's like, just slow down and realise that you are wired up in your own unique way. Don't use other people as an example of how you should live your life, especially when it comes to smoking weed. Look up to them in other ways, rather than just, okay, he smokes weed all the time and he got off alright, I'll just do it myself, because, yeah, what's the worst that can happen? And there can be a lot of negative outcomes. Let's just say you're combusting a plant, and many people smoke it with tobacco as well. Smoking this all the time, like, you're going to have some health effects later on in life. Your lungs are going to get affected. Weed and any psychoactive substance, including psychedelics, put stress on your body. This machine, this biological machine that you are, puts a lot of pressure on your nervous system. You don't know how that's going to affect you later down the line in your life. Just be very mindful of what you're doing, and doing it every single day. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a bit of fucking bacon now and then, but if you're cramming it every day, you're probably going to pay the price in some sense. Some people won't, some people will get off lucky, but you don't know how you're wired up and how your body is going to react to it years down the line, when you sort of pay the karmic toll for all the toxins and overuse of these things that should be used in moderation, the overuse of them that can affect you down the line and seriously mess your life up. So and just like that, Kakarot, the camera overheated again. Oh, what am I going to do? But anyway, yeah, just be very mindful of what you're doing, and if you're really serious about this personal development, consciousness work, I think many of you should redial your cannabis use and try and treat it with respect, and even try use it like a psychedelic if it works for you. If it's making you go schizo and feeling like you're being plunged into a psychotic whirlwind like it does me, probably just let it go and let your brain recalibrate. Especially if you've been using cannabis as a teenager and you smoked it while your brain was growing. I think this is something, if like I said in the why you shouldn't use psychedelics as a teenager, you really want to treat your growing brain with as much respect and admiration as possible. Feed it healthy things, don't abuse it because it can really fry you. And there's a reason weed is synonymous with sort of lazy, dopey people. It's because it does sort of restructure your mind and how you approach life, and it can make you a bit lazy and sap your motivation. I know it can, because it did it for me. I'm only just starting to break out of it now, and if I could go back in time and metaphysically slap myself into gear, I would tell past Viv that you should just slow the fuck down and get serious about life. Don't get too serious, because you don't want to lose out on the joy of life, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying yourself with cannabis, but when you're literally waking up and immediately thinking, right, I need a joint, and then you just litter your whole day with that, and you do this for years on end, you are going to pay the price in more ways than one. But to everyone who does use cannabis healthfully, and say use it for a spiritual sense, where you sort of use it in like a shamanic, ritualistic manner, where it's like, okay, I'm going to smoke a joint and just tap into my consciousness and see what the THC can bring out of you, because it can be super psychedelic and channel some really deep insights if you use it with consciousness. But if you're just using it every single day to escape life and buffer your meaningless existence with something that gives you like that, oof, maybe there's more to life than this, and this, you'll just get stuck on it, and it's not healthy. To blaze or not to blaze? That is the question. He's a good lad, Sonic. He never overused cannabis at all. But yeah, there's in the TLDR version, I would say that there's more to life than smoking weed every single moment of the day. You don't really know what you're missing out on, and you probably aren't aware of how much this is redirecting your energy from many other areas in your life that require your attention and consciousness. There's always things you can be doing with your day to carve out a deep, meaningful life for yourself. And also, don't lose the sober appreciation of life. You don't need to be blazed all the time when you're playing a game and watching a movie or playing guitar. But for those of you who it does help and you use it consciously, that's awesome. Like I said, this video isn't for you. It's for the toxic stoner culture that is pervading the world. I don't really know how we're going to work around this as weed becomes even more normalized. I don't really know how it's going to pan out, because I just can see people getting stuck on it. I guess it's something we've just got to collectively work out as a species. There's many bigger problems that we need to sort out, but yeah, that's life, isn't it? Serious amount of hurdles that we need to keep overcoming. I hope this video helped out some of you and didn't trigger too many intense cannabis abusers, because I'm not trying to have a go at you. I'm just trying to enlighten you in some sense. And like I say, I'm not a fucking guru or anything. I don't really know anything at all. I'm just some guy on the internet. But I just think it's worth talking about, because thankfully I think we're getting to a point where people are actually opening up this conversation, where it's like, oh, life isn't just as simple as like, oh, just legalise cannabis and regulate it and everything will be fine. It's like, yeah, I think that's something that should be done. It shouldn't be suppressed and criminalised or anything like that, but there are going to be lots of hurdles for us to overcome as it becomes even more integrated into human existence. Yes, I think it's everyone's right to use this plant, but I think there needs to be more awareness surrounding the potential negatives of not just the physical, or you literally damaging your lungs and putting stress on your nervous system, but the actual sort of spiritual numbness that it can give you. It's like, oh, well, this is just my life now forever. I can live contently just smoking weed all the time until I die, and then that'll be a good life. And it's like, nah, mate, there's so much more to this. And if you want to create a better world, pour your energy into creating, getting artistic. So many things you can do. But anyway, I'm repeating myself now. Of course I am, because that's who I am. So, see you later, psychonauts, and hopefully don't smoke that weed all the time.